Good morning, chat. We are currently gapped down 40 points on the Nasdaq futures. The yesterday's close was at 23,469. NQ futures are currently down 0.18%. ES futures currently down 0.08%. Nvidia closed yesterday down 3.5%. MicroStrategy closed yesterday down 7.5%. And Palantir closed yesterday 9.35% down. Wall Street is closing in on the fourth straight day of losses. Will it continue, will it not? We will find out very shortly. ES is starting above the VWAP, above the 200 SMA, above the 100 MA. Market begins in 15 seconds. 15 seconds. On the docket today, we have 10:30 a.m. EIA crude oil inventories. 11 a.m. Fed Waller speaking, 1 p.m. US 20-year bond yield, and then 2 p.m. FOMC meeting minutes. And market is open. NQ 30 minutes starting above the VWAP, ES climbing up above the VWAP, Nvidia starting 0.5% down, Tesla starting 0.15% up, Google starting low down. We are in this range. We do have a pivot point to the downside below the NQ 30-minute VWAP at 23,391. Pivot point to the upside at 23,446. Tesla flipping red. ES flushing down, tapping into 200 SMA. Tesla flipping green again. Okay, NQ 30-minute diving. Bitcoin's green, ETH's green. I'm gonna be in with one, up 90, up 100, 120, 175, 180. Up 200, one contract long, tapping that pivot point. May continue to flush. Up 200, up 230. Up 300, about to take it. And taking it at 3. Secure at 254, rotating. ES is still above the VWAP. We'll see if the NQ 30-minute reclaims VWAP. We'll get back in. We'll see, chat. Good morning, Funny, Barn, Norman, Turo, Legend. Good morning, Gepa, Money Time, down day. We'll see. The pre-market low is at 23,334. Nvidia is flushing down lower and lower. Nvidia is now down 0.7%. Meta is down 1.2%. Very interesting. ES is coming into a pretty key level though. We'll see. ES tapping the VWAP again, falling below it. Only thing green on my watch list is Costco, up 0.15%. Voyager Technologies up 0.03%. And then the Dow is up 0.1%. We are currently gapped down now 100 points from yesterday's close at 23,469. ES flushing through that key level. Liquidity sweep. Good morning, insiders. Appreciate it, Todd. Grobar, Marshall, got my shirt and stickers yesterday. I'm repping it today, brother. Appreciate it, Marshall. Appreciate it, man. I'm getting my stuff today as well. I'm still waiting for a hoodie to ship, but I should have shirts after today's stream. ES climbing above the VWAP, tapping the 200 SMA. Morning, Beast. Netflix is now up 0.3%. MicroStrategy trying to flip green. Nvidia still falling. We'll see, chat. Russia introduces retaliatory sanctions against 21 British and Western nations. Trump posts an article by Bloomberg titled Trump ally calls on Bondi to pro-Fed cooks over mortgages. Also, Trump Fed cook must resign now on Truth Social. Target CFO, the bulk of one-time tariff costs are behind us. OpenAI CEO, we will look at going public at some point in the future. We have news in 1 hour. EIA crude oil inventories at 10:30 a.m. Trump complaining about Jerome Powell again 14 hours ago. Okay. I think today may be a day where it does a trend for half the day, then does the opposite. So around 10:30, maybe it starts to trend up. Kind of bullish though. Even though Nvidia is trying to come down. We'll just have to see. ES is trying to reject the VWAP as we speak. It has pretty good coil, pretty nice consolidation. Time to see. If you guys are new here, if you're enjoying the stream, smash that like button, follow the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're live every day at 9:30 a.m. EST, trading the market. We are below that range. It did fall outside of the range. That support trend line is now a resistance trend line. We have a pivot point to the upside at 23,391. Yo, J. Good resistance level. Jerome, pow, 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 pow. Channel to stay on track is 23,300. Please, what are you doing trading? The grid. I buy and sell. Buy, sell, long, short. Where are you from? The US. It has bullish wicks. I think they're going to fake it down for a minute. Nvidia is now down 1%. Google's down 1.1%. Amazon is down 0.9%. Microsoft is down 0.15%. Meta is down 1.1%. Apple's down 1.1%. Netflix coming up 0.6% now. MicroStrategy up 0.7%. Bitcoin staying up 0.7% as well. Ethereum is up 3.3%. Solana is up 3%. XRP is up 0.8%. Doge is up 2.2%. Palantir is down 1.7%. GameStop is down 0.35%. Costco is up 0.15%. Alibaba is up 0.7%. Aveco is down 1%. AMD is down 1.5%. QCOM down 0.5%. And Adobe is down 0.7% to start. ATR is at 17. I think we're going to flush the pre-market low. Could go all the way down to 23,313. We do have a pivot point at 23,310. ES is really trying to get above Currently above the VWAP, below the 200 SMA, below the 100 SMA. A lot of coil. Pretty bearish wicks, to be fair. It is above this key level, this purple line. While we wait for this to flush the pre-market low or get above that NQ30-minute VWAP, Europe market synopsis, European stocks rose 0.2%, nearing a record high as markets stabilize after a tech-driven pullback. Investors trimmed tech positions amid concerns over the S&P 500's rapid rally, with focus on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's upcoming Jackson Hole speech. That's happening on Friday, by the way. Jerome Powell. UK money markets held a approximately 40% chance of a Bank of England rate cut by the end of the year, while Brent crude climbed to $66.50. That's the European synopsis. Asian market synopsis. Asian shares dropped sharply, led by tech giants like Taiwan Semiconductor and SoftBank, with the Nasdaq 100 futures down 0.5%. Investors scaled back tech bets due to an overheated rally, while New Zealand Central Bank cut rates, weakening its currency. Attention is on Powell's Jackson Hole speech for the U.S. rate cut signal. That is the synopsis for the European and Asian markets. I think we're about to flush pre-market low. Could be wrong. Microsoft is flipping green. MicroStrategy flipping red. Nvidia coming down. Pow, 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 pow. Good morning, Stunner. Turo says, I think this is the bottom. I would like to see this, the bottom. I think the bottom may be 23,310, maybe 13. Could be wrong. We could continue to trend down. Do I think we will? No. But we could. Very well could. Could be going all the way back down short term. Maybe not today. Probably not today, but in a couple days, 22,443. That would be nice. That would be the 0786 fib, also coinciding with the previous high. That would indicate some bearish structure, but if it boomerangs off that, wouldn't be bad. That could be the bottom. Sometimes it loves a bounce right before wicking through the pre-market low. So I think it is. No, Nvidia is tanking pretty hard. One more leg down. Could be a double bottom right here. Pre-market low. That could act as a double bottom. Just gotta wait and see. Pow, 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 pow. ES trying to bounce. That could be the bottom. Price action is so choppy today. It's just staying in range for Nasdaq. Appreciate the follow, Omar, Vin. Appreciate you. Close to 7,000. 7,000. 7,000. New Nasdaq was gonna go short. Just made 3K today. Let's go. Good job, combo. 15-minute opening range closes in 2 minutes. ES tapping the VWAP. ES pulling back. Combo said, never mind, my TB got hit for London lows. Kind of feeling a V-shaped recovery type of day. I think it's going to flush a little lower though. That can change with news though. Okay, we're flushing pre-market lows. Little lower. Little low will go on. Just 10 points. Now, we will be catching this falling knife one time today at this key level. If it continues down, we will go with trend from now on. But this is a pretty key level. I like the support. Should get a bounce. Could be the bottom. We'll see. If I'm only in with one contract, I'll probably only hold for like 20 points, 30 points. Maybe to the pre-market low. Really depends. Really depends. Little lower. I'm in with one. Okay. About to tap that pivot point. In with two. Down 300. Down 400. Two contracts long. Down 12 points. We are downtrending. We are catching the knife. $286 is another area I'll add. Down 900, down 1,000, two contracts long. Down 20 points. Okay, we're getting a little bounce. Would have liked it to come to 280. 286 before that bounce. Nvidia is now down 2%. Microsoft about to flip red. It's bleeding out. And with 4 contracts and with 6 total. Looking for a bounce off that second key pivot point. Could keep flushing. Does not have to go. Down 500, down 400, down 600, down 800, down 1,000, down 1,500. Down 12 points. Down 100. Video's coming up a little bit. We'll see. This could continue the waterfall. ES trying to bounce. Down 1,600. About to flush that pivot point. ES is bouncing. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Let's go. Video's coming up. Down 500, down 200. Still some weakness. We'll see. This should have a pop to the pre-market low. Should, but Nvidia is still flushing down. We'll see. Nothing is 100%. Nothing is absolute. I needed that 3K win today after the 1.5K loss yesterday. Oof. Boom. Ain't news out at 10 today, 10:30. 10:30 a.m. on the docket today. We have EIA crude oil inventories. Pain incoming? Perhaps. Down 2,000. Tap that pivot point. Down 3,000. 1,500 away from blowing. 500 away. Counts by blow and gone. And with 4 contracts long. Down 500, down 600, down 7. Down 10 points. All right. Up 40. Pivot point to the downside at 23,222. And with 4 more, if they contracts long, may want to flush down that pivot point. Down 3,000, now 3,400. 1,000 away from blowing, and blown. And with 4 contracts long, up 400, up 500, up 600, up 800. Yes, it's popping. All right. Up 1,200. Up 15. We'll see. Yes, looks like it's trying to come lower. So far, straight down 200 points. Probably missing some news. Let me look. Down 2,300, 4 contracts. About to tap that pivot point, 23,169. After this count blow, we will be done. Is what it is. $1,000 went for blowing. Is that from the Russian sanctions? 200 points. I have to be against the news. Could be insider from the FOMC meeting. People betting on rate cuts not happening. That doesn't happen until next month. Signals happen today, Friday, I guess. Jerome Powell speaking at keynote. Fed Cook must resign.
Order filled.
And blown. Trump yesterday being optimistic about Russia and Ukraine is a necessity. White House launches official TikTok account. President Trump, though resolving Russia-Ukraine war would be easier. Optimistic about halting Ukraine conflict in Ukraine. Believed it better if Zelensky, Putin meet without me. Successful meeting with Putin and Zelensky. If necessary, I will attend Putin and Zelensky meeting. Interested to see outcome of Russia-Ukraine bilat. Connect with Putin, and that's beneficial. BB, war hero, I guess I am too. Powell hurting housing industry severely. Powell hurting the housing industry very badly. Every indicator points to a significant interest rate decrease. Post about Powell on Truth Social. U.S. Treasury, Scott Bessent, China, largest revenue source in tariff income. Status quo is working well in China. If not broken, don't fix it. We're planning to significantly boost economy in Q4. 2026 could be a booming year for the economy. US MBA mortgage applications this morning came in very negative. Interest rate came up a little bit. 30-year mortgage rate at 6.68%. Previously it was 6.67. Witkoff, Russia made concessions during Alaska discussion. Progress made on how to achieve peace deal. I am missing something. Maybe a stock. Hold on. Palantir is down 5.5%. peculiar. Okay, so everything is just run up pretty hard. People are in deep profits and they're selling hard. Video ran up pretty hard from April 25th. Little cool off period. Tesla, not really so much. Still ran up about 50% though, to be fair. Google had a pretty hard run up. Amazon, pretty hard run up. Microsoft, Meta. So everything is just cooling off. We'll see if it can bounce at 23,069. If not there, then it's coming all the way down to 22,443. Probably not all today. Plus, that also coincides with the trend line. You can't really see it. Purple trend line. ES is in the same position, just broke a pretty key trend line. Consolidate around it, try to break through it. Is a pretty pivotal trend line. It broke through it, went all the way down. So we may be going all the way to the ES200 SMA. I doubt it, especially if some positive news comes out like that Russia-Ukraine ceasefire, but we'll see. Strange. Very strange. Even in the tariff days, it didn't do that. Very strange these last couple days. Very strange. I mean, even at the height of the tariffs right here, where it was wicking down, you would have pullbacks at key levels, push-ups. It's just not respecting anything up here. It's kind of because there's very little history. But I still figured it would respect it. Very strange. Very strange. Good pop here. These things could cool off pretty heavy. No more going against trend. Not until there's solid price history. Not until it breaks below 22,447. Once it does that, then we can go against trend a little bit. Maybe to the upside as well. Very strange. But I don't believe we're going to see 23 Nasdaq this week. We may see it today. Stocks are really bleeding out. Nvidia is now down 2.3%. Tesla's down 2.15%. Google's down 1.3%. And the volatility to the downside is, I mean, it's worse than the tariff days when Trump put the, what, 90, 100, 300% tariffs on China. And then we got the tariff pause. It wicked the market down 4,000, 8,000 points. all the way down to 16,490. I mean, the market did not react this way. It would still bounce at key points. It is not respecting anything right now. Just full waterfall. Full waterfall effect. And I have not really traded during that. A couple of black swan days, but they even would still bounce at very key levels. This is not respecting any level whatsoever. We'll see. There's another one, very key level coming up, 23,099. If it doesn't pop there and it keeps waterfalling, I'm not gonna buy it, but I'm gonna observe it. Very strange. I have to be missing some news, insider info, but also the stocks are just very overextended and cooling off as well. Good thing is Bitcoin's about to hit my price target, which is good. This is the smart money / dumb money confidence. Retail is starting to buy. Institutional is starting to sell. That usually indicates it's going to go up, but instead it's coming down. Strange days. Very strange. Just took one 1300 hit. Oof. I'm not catching any more longs today. The V shape is still feasible, still possible, but that's 300 points up. Yesterday's close at 20,469. The weird thing is, market was acting 100% fine the first 30 minutes, the first 20 minutes, and it was acting like it's going to V-shape, and then it just started waterfalling. Waterfall, waterfall, waterfall. Where art thou, waterfall? Here it is. It's not respecting any key points either. So do not expect this to bounce. It's at another pivot point right now at 99, 20,099. If it doesn't pop here, if there is no bounce here of like 20, 40, 50 points, I am not catching any longs regardless. Very strange. It may want to flush down to 23,034. 23,000 is very possible. We're only 100 points away. This thing could flush down another 600,000 points. Do I think it will? No. Do I think it'll hit 23,000? Kinda, yeah. The way it's waterfalling. Trying to figure out why I didn't see the short. I'm really like, I really thought, I mean, the bear trend could have continued, but I figured we would bounce up. We were above the VWAPs. Very strange. I gotta be missing something. I mean, the stock's overextended. Yeah. They need a cool off period. Yeah. Just not dialed in. It is getting a bounce on that key level, but it's only 20 points, and these stocks are still waterfalling down. Nvidia's down 3.3%. Also, if you're trading prop firm accounts, you need to look at yours one specifically. We have circuit breakers, and if you're in a trade, you will be liquidated. Some prop firms have it at 2.5% down. Others have it at 5. I believe Take Profits is at 7.5. But also 10. You cannot be in trades during circuit breakers to the downside only. So just make sure you're aware of that. Very strange. All right. Anyone getting all the shorts on that one? Barn, you had the right idea. Need advice. Electricity went out while long at 23,332. 4 micros down 850. Should I take the loss? It's up to you, my friend. Up to you. I would personally take the loss, but it could pop here. That's kind of a double bottom liquidity sweep. It could pop. Who knows? Norman, you're already out. Okay. Just took 1300 hit. Someone is making big Benjamins, and it ain't me. It ain't me either. Can't win them all, Norman. On to the next. It hurts though. Yeah. That's not a waterfall. That's a rock falling down the hill. It did hurt, but I have no control over the power company. MACD hasn't crossed yet. Selling puts to whoever wants Simpson. Oh boy. I always have my phone on standby. Boom. Obscure. Just call that sexy down move for 3K. Good job, Obscure. Follow the trend, my friend. Yeah. It's so funny. Always red days, my friend. Another record green day for me today. Ross said we are in a cold market, but damn, it's been hot for me. Love to watch you trade, man. You inspire me. I don't know how today or yesterday. Appreciate it, John. No news, it's New York Open. Just exit and refresh your mind. Should bounce now. Yeah, the lot should, could, and would us. Today's market is just all waterfall. Put fibs on your ninja chart. Yeah, no shit. Amen. Yep. What was y'all bias? I had a bias of going up, at least to start today. I'll wake up at least above the VWAP. Well, thank you, 30 minute, possibly filling the gaps and then continuing down. Did not go. 7K subs, yeah, but appreciate the support, guys, but the last couple days have been absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Three evals gone and 2 funded. Absolutely brutal. Not the end of the world, but I am clearly not tapped into the market. The downside of social media is I don't do 4 hours of studying the market before the market's open every single day because I don't have time to do that anymore. That is the downside. But yeah, I need to start making that a priority. Good days, bad days, red days, green days. Red days sure do hurt though, I can tell you that. Need close above 213, then back to 270. If not, we keep dumping to 120. It's now day trading with bullish, regular, divergence of momentum, obfuscator. Chris, if you need to take a breath from streaming, we get it. It requires a lot of mental capacity that needs to be allocated to trading. Trading is priority. Yeah. Nothing bullshit about the 4-hour chart. Todd, I know 2K's words may hurt, but try not to delete messages like that. 2K trader said never catch a falling knife. Let's go 68. I know like everyone's hindsight trading and common sense. I mean, other times I'm scalping all over the market and catching the falling knife, getting a bounce of 20, 50 points like consistently throughout the day. And a lot of the time it works. And on black swan events like these, it does not. And I just didn't catch the news. It's as simple as that. Catch the news. Could be insider trading on FOMC, Fed going to signal, people expecting the Fed not to cut rates, and they're just betting on it heavy. And also the market is just overextended. Nvidia, Tesla, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Netflix, MicroStrategy, Palantir, they're all just way overextended. So is the Nasdaq, so is the ES, the S&P 500. It's all just super overextended. So it's doing a brief cool down period. And usually, even when it's doing that, it catches the pivot points and gets a 20, 50 point bounce. Very strange. A lot of introspection. Good thing is a lot of lessons will be learned. And I will jot this down. We are in uncharted territory. Uncharted territory. New highs in market. Less structure. So a lot of lessons to be learned. And just add on to the wisdom. That's the only positive out of this. I think it'll be very beneficial if I do a recap of these last 2 days, going through the footage, reviewing all the trades. I think that's the only benefit of this. The fuck is happening? 1 hour gone. Oh my god. Whoever caught the shorts. Whoever caught the shorts, you are sitting very nice. Let me tell you. Bullish, haha. What's the opposite of a short squeeze? That's what's going on. Yep. A couple of hammers in now, could turn up for a little spurt. I'm going nowhere near it, Barn. Absolutely nowhere near it. Market is way too weak to be trying longs. That's kind of the best time to do it, because the bearish rallies are pretty significant. So far, it is above that 20,099 liquidity sweep to the downside to that other pivot point, 20,063. We are getting a little pop. Oh, pop, pop, pop. Withdrawal fib. About to tap the 23.6 fib. It seemed like he is showing off and cursing, but got it. Todd. Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, there's gonna constantly be trolls. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you like just like preempting it and doing it. I need more people doing that because I am way overoccupied. But if I see something, I will call it out. I wasn't looking at a chart, so I appreciate you doing it anyway. Miguel said, I am learning, but it's brutal and painful. Don't have to tell me. Don't have to tell me. Norman, I am in Trinidad and no phone, no electricity, no internet, but have it all back now. Good job, Norman. Oh, the internet. I thought, yeah, okay. Trinidad, that is rough, Norman. That's very rough. You are going against the grain, my friend, though. Weekly candle so far as looking very bearish, yeah. Chris, I've been working on the entries using a few indicators and only when they're converging. Am I going in hard? A bit better than the gambling I was doing before, which sometimes paid. Well, from what you typed in the chat, Barn, you're pretty consistent. Profiting a couple thousand here and there. Yesterday it was like 500 or 200 if I remember correctly. Lloyd says, do you often encounter trend trade and catch the bounces? Some traders love this. I try and stay with trend. Most of the time, I like to go with trend if I can, if the opportunity presents itself, but also I counter trend as well, playing the extremes. And it works the majority of the time. Especially if I'm really up to date with the news. The only way I appreciate it, man, that is not the way to get your point across. I am with you, my friend, but I do not put it in people's face. Everyone is in their own journey. And you spamming that is not helping at all. Which app do you use to trade Ninja Trader? Are you with My Funded Futures? No, David. This is an account. I'm in the profit for today, but didn't follow my strategy. Feels like dirty money. I'm not really that tilted, to be honest. It's just losing days. But I'm wondering why I couldn't see this coming. The past 2 days, I haven't been staring at the percentages of the stocks as much. Haven't been drawing as many trend lines. I think I've been getting a little too comfortable again. Little too comfortable. A lot of introspection is going to be had. I can tell you that. Couple hours after stream. So strange. It broke the 4-hour 200 SMA. I may have a 4-hour chart. Only one I kind of like. The day chart too, but 4-hour. I like the 4-hour. May start using that a little more. I do zoom out every now and then, but mainly I'm using the NQ 30-minute chart. Very weird. Weird day. Weird day. Good night, everyone. Good night, Barn. Going to tap out to do the last 1,000 tomorrow so I don't break the 50% rule. Good job, Barn. 700 yesterday, 1,300 today. Good job, bro. Who's above 160? We go back to 214. Lloyd, mad respect for your transparency. Trading in the open is hard. Don't you like to keep your charts clean? My charts are pretty clean, even though they don't look like it. That's why I keep this chart pretty clean. The only reason this is mad crazy is because we're zoomed out about 1,000 points. You know what? I'm gonna do a full reset. Full reset. All my charts are getting undrawn and I'm drawing them again. I like that. I haven't did that in a couple months. Now I do new pivot points as they come. Could be a higher low, could bounce here. I'm not catching it. No, thank you. Nope, nope. ETH is close to my target. Alrighty. What's up? Could be getting close to a bottom. News dropped EIA crude oil inventories. That is a higher low. Not like EIA crude oil inventories came out negative 6,014,000. Expected to be negative 0.85. Next up on the docket is 11 a.m. Fed Waller speaking in 24 minutes. 1 p.m. US 20-year bond, and then 2 p.m. FOMC. Volatility is probably already subsided. If not, it'll probably subside soon. ATR is at 31, very high volatility, to be fair. To be fair. Looks like it wants to come to the downside. Take us with you and drawing your charts. This is learning big time. Hopefully I did that well enough. I really didn't talk, but I switched back and forth so you can see what I'm doing. I decided to give the majority of it from the 4-hour, and then intraday, like every day, I'll be on the 30-minute getting them as well. Use the daily to tell you your bias for the day. Lesser time frame, I mean, multi-time frame analysis, that's obvious. What I do. That only takes you so far, though. Only takes you so far. I look at the 1 day. 1 day started out a little green, then it flushed down. Could have very easily popped here, would have been a higher low, popped back up. Also the 4-hour, look at 3. If I'm unsure, I zoom out. I go boom, 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 boom. And then even all the way here. Now bearish wicks, but that was propped up a little bit. That's obvious. For everyone else, though, yes, you should be examining the higher time frames. The 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, day, week, month. The more unsure you are, you need to zoom out. Also, it's not bad practice to do it every day before market. Main thing is keeping up with news. Bitcoin snapped back above 113. Also, aren't there supposed to be chip tariffs this week? I think you're onto something there. I remember hearing something about that. Let me look. On August 15th, he announced that semiconductors would be announced next week or the week after. So either this week or the week after. Interesting. What was your inspiration / reason to start streaming? Document my journey, be around a group of like-minded people. Also, further down the, also another reason is to document this journey for my future children as well, but that's kind of a side quest of sorts. Also to expedite growth as well. Put myself in the gauntlet of fire and either come out victorious or fail miserably and get back up eventually. It is what it is. The more pressure you're under, the more eyes you're under, the more feedback equals rapid change, exponential growth. And I want all of that as much as possible. I do this every morning. I love a clean chart. The less things are on it, the better for me. I hear you. Appreciate it, Lord. Hello, guys. Oof, down almost 9K. You're down almost 9K, Panto. I lost 3 evals and 2 fundits. News coming. I'm right there with you, my friend. Oh, you're talking about me. The that's not the actual loss. Now the funded accounts are worth more, but you guys can just whatever. Each account you see is worth $252. Prop firms. Stunner, I'm down 1.7K past few days. Yep, that could be a double bomb right here, but I'm not catching it. Not even close. Not even close. Boom, 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 boom. Fear and Green Index for the stock market, 55 out of 100 neutral. Crypto, Fear and Green Index came out 44 out of 100 fear. U.S. private credit defaults rate dips to 5.2% in July. The Justice Department has received a criminal investigation referral related to Fed Governor Cook and is taking it very seriously. Fitch rating, that's the U.S. credit dip. Russian First Deputy Prime Minister, Russian counts on expanding nuclear energy cooperation with India. Polish Defense Minister, the military drone that crashed overnight was a Russian UAV. The drone incident is another Russian provocation. Russia's First Deputy Prime Minister, Russia sees the potential to export LNG to India. Very interesting. A lot of news tomorrow. Lots and lots of news. We have Alibaba Q1 2026 earnings at 5:35 a.m. EST. Walmart Q2 earnings at 7 a.m. Fed Bostic speaking at 7:30 a.m. Jackson Hole supposition. I think that's what that is at 8 a.m. 8:30 a.m. U.S. initial jobless claims. U.S. Philly Fed Business Index. U.S. continuous jobless claims. 9:45 a.m. EST. U.S. S&P Services PMI flash. Manufacturing PMI. Composite PMI flash. 10 a.m. tomorrow. U.S. existing home sales. Change. Leading index change month over month. 11:30 U.S. 4-week bill. 1 p.m. U.S. 30-year tips. $2K trader said 970 next target. Do you trade Bitcoin futures? I have it loaded up and ready to go. Loaded up and ready to go. Just sitting on my hands. Percival, Rift, Rosa, Just, David, Cherry, South, Gamp. Appreciate you guys. Todd said it's one of those days where it feels like the big boys magically know something we don't. Yep. There is something I'm missing. That is for sure. It's been weeks. Well, yesterday, it didn't come down this rapidly, to be fair. Yesterday, it wicked down from 775 to 500, so 200 points. Today, it wicked down 430 points. 400. Yeah, so there's definitely something happening. Now, the stocks are overextended. The cooling period makes sense, but there's something else. Something else. No point is being respected at all. This did get respected quite a bit. The 65.99, 23,099, that got respected a little bit. Bounce of, what is that, 50 points. So that's the first pivot point that actually got respected. Also, I've been going against trend the last couple of days. Usually it works. The majority of the time it works, but oof, we've been getting cooked. Cooked alive the last couple of days. Just profit taking. I believe it's something else as well. But yeah, that makes sense. That's why I said the stocks are overextended. A lot of people are up pretty heavy on Nvidia, Tesla, Google, Amazon, especially people who leverage trade as well are taking profits. First sign of weakness from the NQ that it's not going to continue to all-time highs, at least for the short-term period. So people are selling out, especially leverage traders, options, etc. It's always an amalgamation of things, Stunner. Always. Is one contract Bitcoin futures equal to the price of 5 Bitcoin? Turo, it depends what leverage you have. So I trade with 24x leverage. So we have $1,300 in this account. I have more load up in the wallet, but We started this challenge with 1,000. We were up 45%. We lost one trade. Now we're up 34%. But 1,300 with 24x leverage is 7.3 ETH, or it's around 26,000, 27, 28,000. You just 24x whatever you have. Essentially. 0.27 Bitcoin. Everything I use is down below. Down below. Down below. Down below. Miguel says, I wonder it's tonight the FOMC minutes from 3 weeks ago. Most of the outcome of that was already known after the FOMC came out 30th of July. Gabber said, I've been scaling off profit for the past 2 weeks in long-term accounts. Think we may see 22,900 NQ before end of day. This is not the Bitcoin, Azure. That was what I just showed you, but this is NQ futures, future indices of the Nasdaq. Appreciate file game, Tobu, appreciate you. Tabo. Tabo. Fed Waller is speaking in 8 minutes. This market is cooked, boys. I am cooked. Oh, I see. Thanks for the info. I want to see if I can trade Bitcoin futures with small account. I mean, you can start with as much as you want. I know people who just throw $10 in there with just insane leverage and try and get up to 1,000, 10,000, 100, etc., etc. You can throw whatever you want in there. But it's very high risk. The more leverage you go, you will be liquidated pretty fast. And if you don't know what you're doing, you should not do it. But it's up to you. Full accountability. It's all up to you. We do have FOMC meeting minutes at 2 p.m. At 4 p.m. when market closes, Trump's swearing in EU ambassador. A lot of news on Friday as well, with Jerome Powell speaking as well at a keynote speech. U.S. holiday on September 1st. What day is that? Is that market day? I'm assuming. It's a Monday. Not next Monday, but the Monday after the market's closed. Labor Day. What's up, Azure? Try selling for a few lots. It's going down 50 points. I'm not doing anything based off other people's comments. I trade off my own conviction. Appreciate it though, Azure. I mean, you're probably correct. This fell below the pivot point. It is grinding down. 20,050 is a pivot point. But 23,000 is going to be a pretty key level. Morning, Chris. How you doing today? 3 account blows today. 3 accounts gone. Legend 10K out the gate with the short. Saw my long at 262 on NQ and took a 5K loss. Still up 5K, but I'm sitting on my hands now. Very interesting. Legend, what was your conviction for going short at the start? Very interesting. Did you short at 939 when the ES rejected the VWAP? Very interesting. Oh, make sure you guys vote in the poll as well. I want to see where you guys are at. Very negative for me the past couple of days. Where are you guys sitting today? Only today. Vote in the poll. Vote in the poll. Are you profitable, negative, or learning? My indicators, I had to bearish and one bullish, so I shorted. Okay. At 6:30, I hit the short button and sat back. 6:30. Man, that is crazy. Really? 6:30, you shorted. We may get a pop here. We'll see. Oh, yeah, that's right. It may be West Coast. You mean market open, Legend? Or actually 6:30 EST? Good shouts. Good shouts, Gappa. Gappa. Gappa with the right hook. Oh, yeah, I'm in AZ. Okay. That makes more sense. I had a gut feeling that Monday was going up yesterday and today going down, then maybe tomorrow and Friday are going to be steady uptrends. Yeah, I thought it was coming down as well, but not as early as it did. Not as early as it did. Not as much as it has. Not expect those. I figured we would ramp back up, tap probably not pre-market highs, but get above the 200 SMA on the NQ, and then prop it down. Just strange. I did not think we were going this low either. I thought at the most, we would go to like 23,200. But every single stock just flipped and started just waterfalling. Waterfalling, liquidating. People liquidating the leverage positions. Selling. First sign of weakness from the NQ. Alright, so we're at all-time highs here. Higher, lower high, higher low. Lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then it started to break formation. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low, lower high, and then lower low. Broke through this key pivot point at 20,653. Also, it broke this pivot point as well up here. Down below. 23,792. Try to retake it, got rejected. Figured we would get a bounce of like right here. 23,220 with maybe a liquidity sweep to the downside at 23,200. Thought it may bounce here. The worst case, it was going to go here. Worst case scenario, it was going here. 23,091. and now it's wicked all the way down to this pivot point. Now this is kind of a consolidation range, so it's falling to the bottom of that range. It's not that abnormal. 22,030. We'll see if we get a bounce here. Theoretically, it should pop here, but everything is super liquidated. Nvidia now down 3.3%, Tesla down 3.9%, which isn't that abnormal of recent times. Google's down 2.3%, Amazon down 3%, Microsoft down 0.6%, Meta down 2.3%, Apple down 1.75%, Netflix down 1.6%, MicroStrategy down 1.77%, Palantir is down 8.3%, GameStop is down 1.7%, Apeco down 3%, AMD down 4%, QCOM down 1.5%, Adobe down 1.5%, Voyager Technologies down 2.9%, Robinhood down 4.3%, Costco down 0.07%. Bitcoin is up 0.5%, Ethereum is up 3.5%, Solana is up 3%, XRP is up 1.1%, Doge is up 2.15%. Okay. Let's check metals. Metals are ticking up. Russia did implement some sanctions. What is that news again? Microsoft curbs early access for Chinese firms for cyber flaws. Where is this? Russia introduces retaliatory sanctions against 21 British and Western nations. And then silver is sitting at $37.99 an ounce, up 47 cents today. Gold is sitting at $3,359 an ounce, up $36.30 for the day. What's up, Collins? Hello. Azar. Wingardium Leviosa. I had a gut feeling that Monday. Appreciate legend. Oh yeah, I'm an AZ. For real though, I didn't think we were going to plummet. Yep. I didn't think so either. But since it's plummeting like this, I wouldn't mind if it tanked all the way down to 22,600, all the way down to 22,436 in the next this next week. So tomorrow and the next day, we are waiting for the 15-minute range no matter what. We will not execute a trade until this 15-minute range comes in. Yeah, no matter what. Yankee 30 minutes starting to pop. This could be a bounce. Everything is a little overextended. I'm not going to touch it. Legend said for the first time since I started, I'm going in on one mini right now, short. BC said, what are we making money on today, bro? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. We are not making money today. No monies today, BC. Possibly in the future. It's only a short-term loss. 2 negative days in a row. We'll come back. Gotta be ready for the downturns. The lows are lows, the highs are high. Especially with the way I trade. Alright, market's pretty much subdued. Could bounce here all the way to the NQ 30-minute VWAP. Maybe the 50% fib. That is at 22,233. That also coincides with NQ 30-minute VWAP. What makes sense? All right. Let's catch up on this some news. This is Caroline Leavitt, press secretary. Caroline Leavitt briefing members of the media yesterday at 1 p.m. Supposedly this is hot. This is like hot and spicy. She went nuclear. I saw a lot of news on X on this. Supposedly she went absolutely crazy on them. I don't think it's that severe, but we'll see.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? Good to see all of you. What we've witnessed President Trump accomplish over the last few days has been nothing short of...
Miguel said, is the Fed not speaking at this moment? Fed Bailey or Fed Waller speaking at 11? I don't really care about him.
Remarkable. We are now 3.5 years into the war between Russia and Ukraine, a brutal conflict that has claimed hundreds of thousands of Russian and Ukrainian lives and cost trillions of dollars. The weakness and incompetence of Joe Biden foolishly allowed the killing to start in the first place. Until President Trump returned to office in January, the bloody and broken Biden status quo was to endlessly force American taxpayers to fund Ukraine no matter the cost, no matter how long it takes, and no matter how many lives were lost. There is no denying that Biden's America Last foreign policy moved the world further away from peace. President Trump rejected that failed approach, and instead, over the last 7 months, has relentlessly pursued peace throughout his second term. And thanks to President Trump's efforts, we finally have movement after years of deadly gridlock. On Friday, as you all know, many of you were there, President Trump hosted Russian President Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, for a bilateral meeting. This was the first time President Putin has been to the United States since 2015, and the first time he has met with an American president in years. President Putin publicly confirmed what President Trump has said all along. The war between Russia and Ukraine never would have started in the first place if President Trump were in office. This was
a lot of flattery. Putin said a lot of flattery at that meeting in Alaska, confirming just so many things. The war would never have started out of Putin's mouth, just really buttering up Trump. I don't like how much flattery. Also, could have been a Trump did fly a B-250 bomber over Putin's head when he was walking down the red carpet, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. I mean, it was all over X. It was everywhere, everywhere. But a lot of flattery to butter up Trump. I don't like that. Could have been Trump telling him to say that. I don't know. Unsure.
Always obvious to any person with a shred of common sense. Just look at what took place during the last 4 administrations. Under George W. Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under Barack Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Joe Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. But under President Trump, Russia did not invade nor take anything. President Trump is the only president this century, Republican or Democrat, who has held Russia in check and ensured peace in Europe. That's because Russia has always greatly respected President Trump and his peace through strength foreign policy approach. But overall, the bilateral talks in Alaska were very productive, and multiple key points were agreed to between the two leaders that truly opened up the door for Phase 2 discussions, which took place yesterday here at the White House, within 48 hours of that meeting in Anchorage, I may add. As you all know, there were many European leaders here, as well as Ukrainian President Zelensky. They all traveled here to meet with President Trump to maintain the momentum and work toward a lasting peace. Across the board, every leader credited President Trump for his decisive leadership that has reignited the dialogue in hopes of finally bringing this war to a peaceful conclusion. 2 quotes in particular capture the progress that was made and the optimism moving forward. Finnish President Alexander Stubb said, "I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have had in the past 3.5 years. Again, that is the president of Finland, a country that shares a border with Russia. That's what we call the President Trump effect. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also summed it up well. Without President Trump, this deadlock with Putin would not have been broken. He is the only one who could do this. Following the encouraging...
I mean, you gotta be fair. Trump is the only one that brought Putin to the table, actually had a meeting with him, sat down, etc., etc. Besides the security advisors and whatever of other nations. But Europe could not bring him to the table. Biden could not bring him to the table. Trump brought him to the table. So you got to give him credit there. I mean, even the European leaders said that in the multilateral meeting.
In conversations yesterday, President Trump spoke with President Putin by phone, and he agreed to begin the next phase of the peace process, a meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky, which would be followed, if necessary, by a trilateral meeting between President Putin, President Zelensky, and President Trump. As the president said, Vice President Vance...
Now, today, this is from yesterday. Today, Trump is setting the stage for a bilateral meeting between just Putin and Zelensky. I don't think that's going to go well. I think a trilateral meeting between Putin, Zelensky, and Trump is the way to go.
Secretary Rubio and Special Envoy Witkoff will continue to coordinate with Russia and Ukraine to make this happen as soon as possible. It's very important to remember that before President Trump's landslide victory last November, there was no end in sight to this bloodshed. Now, there may finally be light at the end of the tunnel and an opportunity for lasting peace. That's because President Trump is the peace president, and American leadership is back on the world stage. It should not be lost on anyone in this room that world leaders are coming right here to Washington, D.C. for help. While previous presidents have traveled halfway around the world to apologize for America, President Trump stands up for America, and he has firmly restored America's status as the undisputed leader of the free world. However, one thing that has absolutely not changed is the media's negative and downright false coverage of President Trump and his foreign policy accomplishments. From the beginning of this entire process, much of the left-wing media has been actively rooting against the President of the United States in the pursuit of peace. Initially, the media ridiculously claimed that President Trump was somehow beholden to Russia for even agreeing to have a face-to-face discussion with President Putin inside of the United States. The media said President Trump was making a grave mistake by, quote, legitimizing Putin. They were aghast that President Trump would treat another world leader like a world leader. The media relentlessly attacked President Trump and claimed he suffered a, quote, major defeat for not immediately emerging with a final agreement, even though he said heading into that meeting, this was a meeting to listen and to understand how to move the ball forward. All weekend following those historic U.S.-Russia bilateral talks, we listened to clueless pundits on television trying but failing to claim that the president had failed. The so-called experts in the foreign policy establishment, whose record is nothing but endless wars, trillions of wasted taxpayer dollars, and dead Americans, have the nerve to try and lecture President Trump, who has solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, about peace. This is the same president, by the way, who brokered the Abraham Accords in his first term, on top of more than half a dozen other peace deals this year alone, as I just said. We also saw yesterday the president of Ukraine and all of the other major leaders of Europe fly across the Atlantic Ocean to meet President Trump at the White House because of the progress that...
Chris, if you had a short put in, you would have balanced today's losses, at least, I think so anyways. Not wrong, not wrong. Possibly a couple. Simple, if you buy puts equals long puts bearish. If you sell, yeah. Alright, gotta get the gold. Gapper said short puts almost 40% ROI, return on investment so far.
That was made, and that, if you ask the media, failed meeting, but it was not. It was highly productive and it was successful. This is why Americans' trust in the mass media is at a lowest point in more than 5 decades. Diplomacy is a delicate...
BC, are you accusing Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary of the White House, for being a robot, AI, artificial intelligence? Did you assume her robotics?
Process, and instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts.
Yeah, but it's semantics. He meant a put. He meant a regular put. Legend meant a regular put. If you were short with a put, aka just a regular put.
Towards peace. That is why I felt the need to set the record straight. In other news on the home front, President Trump's efforts to make D.C. safe again
You guys cannot assume the robotic status of Caroline Leavitt, Elon Musk, or Mr. Beast. Leave them alone, man.
are working. There have
They are robots.
been a total of 465 arrests since the start of this operation on Thursday, August 7th. Last night, there were a total of 52 arrests, including the arrest of an illegal alien MS-13 gang member with convictions for DWI and drug
Wait, what is that? What are these stats? DC crime since federal control. 46% robbery down. What is ADW? Anyone know what ADW is? Assault with a deadly weapon. I'm assuming that's what it is. Assault with a deadly weapon. Assault with the D's weapons. Down 6%. Carjacking down 83%. Car theft down 21%. Violent crime down 22%. Property crime down 6%. All crimes down 8%. These are pretty nice. Violent crime down. Robbery down. Carjacking. Car theft.
MS-13 gang member with convictions for DWI and drug possession. Thanks to President Trump's leadership.
You dare assume my robotic status? You dare, Miguel? Christopher is an AI. He is not real.
In the outstanding work of both federal and local law enforcement, dangerous gang members like the one picked up last night will not be allowed on the streets of our nation's capital. Other arrests last night included assault with a deadly weapon for stabbing, parole violation for robbery, murder, outstanding warrant for attempted murder, assault on federal law enforcement officer, and felony assault. 4 more homeless encampments were also removed during yesterday's reporting period. To date, a total of 48 homeless encampments have been cleared in Washington, D.C. by multi-agency teams. MPD patrol units are actively working with city officials to locate and clear additional encampments.
Negative R&R, Stunner. Negative R&R for real.
And remove homeless residents off of Washington streets. And despite fake narratives from the media, again, a significant number of the arrests have been in high crime areas of D.C. In fact, nearly half of all of the non-illegal alien-related arrests have occurred in wards 7 and 8, the 2 wards that have the highest number of violent crime, as well as homicides and assaults with dangerous weapons last year. So while Democrats continue to coddle violent criminals, President Trump and this administration are focused on putting them behind bars and unapologetically standing up for the safety of law-abiding American citizens, and the White House will continue to
White House, half of DC crackdown arrests are in high crime areas.
Provide all of you with the results of this operation in the days ahead. So with that, I will take your questions today here in our...
If you guys don't know, this is Caroline Leavitt press briefing the members of media yesterday at 1 p.m. Supposedly, she goes absolutely nuclear when they start asking questions. I don't know how real that is, but we're about to find out.
Media seat today, we have Jack Posobiec, who joined us in Anchorage, Alaska last week. Jack, thanks for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Caroline, thanks so much. So a couple of questions regarding the status of these peace talks. Obviously, we saw the President and President Putin there in Anchorage. We saw the world leaders here yesterday with this summit. We've heard phrases like coalition of the willing. We've also heard Article 5-like guarantees. When it comes to the security guarantees, what is the current status of that? I know the President earlier today mentioned boots on the ground would be UK, France, Germany possibly, but unequivocally said no U.S. troops on the ground, but U.S. coordination. Can you elaborate on that, and what would the red lines be?
Sure. Well, you got to the heart of what I was going to say to all of you today on security guarantees, which is the President has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The President understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe, and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
Caroline, now have the Russians responded at all? I know we spoke with President Putin last night. What has been their response? Because we've heard some reports from the Kremlin and others saying they're unequivocally against NATO troops on the ground.
Well, look, the president continues to have these conversations with both leaders. Those conversations took place in Anchorage, Alaska, again yesterday with the Europeans and President Zelensky, and he has directed his team to come up with a framework for these security guarantees that can be acceptable to help ensure a lasting peace and end this war.
And then just last question real quick on this. Regarding some of the funding, we're hearing questions about another round of weapons sales or possibly a round of U.S. purchases of Ukrainian drones. Will that money be funded by the U.S. taxpayers? Are we finally going to see an end to the U.S. taxpayer-funded, seemingly endless mandate for these foreign wars?
Well, the president is very sensitive to the needs of the American taxpayer, and immediately upon entering office back in January, he made it very clear that we're not going to continue writing blank checks to fund a war very far away, which is why he came up with the very creative solution to have NATO purchase American weaponry, because it is the best in the world, and then to backfill the needs of the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people and their military. So that's the solution the president has came up with. We'll continue to see that forward. As for any additional sales, I'll have to defer you to the Department of Defense.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jack. Kelly.
What has President Trump learned that tells him that Vladimir Putin would be willing to make a deal?
I've already traded today, Viper. You missed it. You missed it. I lost 3 accounts today and up 254 and 1. Hola boy. Hola boy, man. Rough day.
For him.
Second rough day in a row.
For President Trump.
Well, the
We'll make it
president
back.
has learned a lot, which is part of the reason he opened up this dialogue. The previous administration, who oversaw the beginning of this war, refused to talk. And President Trump has always said, in order to learn, in order to move the ball forward with diplomacy and towards peace, you have to have open dialogue. And so that's why the president has had several conversations by phone and, of course, an in-person meeting last Friday with President Putin. He also has talked to President Zelensky dozens of times, had him here at the White House yesterday, and he's understanding what both sides want, what both sides are going to have to give up. And he has always said, in order to get a good deal, both sides are going to have to walk away a little bit unhappy. So he continues to learn a lot throughout these conversations, which is why we've seen progress from both sides. And I would also just add, when it comes to learning and moving the ball forward, look at how both Russia and Ukraine have actually talked directly for the first time in many years, thanks to the efforts of this president and this administration.
Specifically for President Trump, though, what do you think Putin's motivation is to try to do something for President Trump, as opposed to just resolving the conflict?
I think, as I just spoke to in my opening remarks, Kelly, Russia and all countries around this world actually respect the United States again. And the president is using the might of American strength to demand that respect from our allies, our friends, our adversaries all around the world. And we've seen that not just lead to progress with Russia and Ukraine, but also we've seen it in the closing of 7 global conflicts around the world as well. We've seen it with the release of hostages in Gaza. You've seen it with the end of the conflict between India and Pakistan, which could have resulted in a nuclear war if we had not had a president who believed in the strength and the leverage that comes with the job of being the president of the United States of America.
If you guys aren't familiar, India-Pakistan war was ramping up. Supposedly, they shot down 6 planes. That was ramping up. And supposedly, I mean, the news hasn't said otherwise, at least from what I read. Trump solved it with trade. He said, if you guys continue this, you guys are out. And supposedly, they stopped when he threatened that.
America. Rachel.
Little backstory.
Heading into Alaska, a lot of the focus in the talk was on this trilateral meeting between these 3 leaders. Can you explain how this went from a trilateral meeting involving President Trump to now the focus being on this bilateral meeting without the president first?
Well, look, the president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other. And so our national security team will help both countries do that. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these 2 countries. And so he wants these 2 countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelensky and President Putin get together. And I understand accommodations for that meeting are underway. As soon as we hear more details, we'll be sure to let all of you know.
And just a quick follow-up. We know as of right now there is no ceasefire in place. We've seen Russia continue its attacks on Ukraine. What indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have this meeting with Zelensky soon?
Because he spoke to him directly yesterday.
And he expressed that
Haley.
sooner rather than later.
He spoke to that directly yesterday, and the president put that in his statement that he gave to all of you, the news media, knowing you'd be asking following that conversation in the effort of transparency. Haley.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. You made
We are about to hit the 50% fib retracement from the 400-point drop. Will it pull back? Will it continue up and do a full V shape? I'm unsure.
clear no U.S. boots on the ground. Is the president considering U.S. boots in the air as a form of a security guarantee?
Look, that was something the president mentioned on his interview this morning. It is an option and a possibility. I won't certainly rule out anything as far as military options that the president has at his disposal. I'll let him do that. I can tell you he's definitively ruled out boots on the ground. Sure.
Thanks, Tara. Just about the possible venue for the talks, can you confirm that Putin suggested Moscow as a venue for the bilateral talks? And if so, doesn't that indicate that Putin is perhaps not serious about this, that he's suggesting a venue that there's no way that Zelensky is going to go to?
Look, I'm not going to litigate the private conversations between the president and President Putin, aside from what the president himself has already spoken on. But I can tell you there are many options that are being discussed by our national security team right now with both parties.
Can you give us an indication of where?
I just told you we'll provide you details as soon as we can. Thank you for trying, though. Libby.
Thank you, Caroline. I wanted to ask about the National Guard troops. How is the White House coordinating with how they're being placed in D.C., what areas? And then also, how long should people here in the district anticipate the National Guard to be on the ground patrolling the streets?
I don't have a timeline for you, Libby, but we will keep you posted on that. I think the president, as you know, and this administration, he came to this briefing room with members of his cabinet to lay out the rationale and the reasoning for federalizing the National Guard here in Washington, D.C., and for our work with the Metropolitan Police Department to make our district safer. We've seen violent crime has taken the lives of far too many residents here in our nation's capital, and the president wants to make it safe again. And as for the coordination efforts, this interagency team is meeting and talking daily. In fact, there's a meeting taking place right now in the West Wing with members of the interagency task force to continue to discuss not just the National Guard deployment, but also how we can continue to remove public safety threats off of the streets of Washington, which, as the numbers I just showed you prove, they are doing every single night. I will just reiterate, 465 total arrests and counting since the start of this operation. I believe 11 or 12 days ago, I'll have to check the calendar, but those are pretty remarkable results. If not for this task force and their high level of coordination and the leadership of this president, there would have been 465 more violent criminals on the streets of this capital that you all live in every day. So I think we should all be very grateful for that. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. Three questions about the D.C. crackdown.
Sure.
First, I was wondering if you could clarify something President Trump said. He mentioned getting rid of the slums where criminals live. Was he talking about tents or permanent residential buildings? And then the mayor has expressed an interest in clarifying how much of a focus illegal immigration enforcement is as part of this crackdown. Can you say anything about that?
Sure.
And third, any preview on the beautification?
3 questions. I'll try to answer all 3 of them pointedly for you. First, when it comes to what you said, and the president said, the slums of Washington, D.C., he's referring to the most dangerous communities, neighborhoods, and streets in this city where, unfortunately, violence has ravaged these communities and taken the lives of, again, far too many law-abiding D.C. residents. We know on July 5th of this year, just more than a month ago, a 3-year-old beautiful young girl was shot and killed in her car with her family in one of these communities, which is why there has been a surge, despite what many of you have been falsely reporting. And I believe it was the Washington Post who put out a map claiming it to be fact-based when it was just based on, I don't know, accounts that they've heard on the street, not actual statistics and data. So we went and reconfigured the numbers, and as I said, nearly half of all the non-illegal alien-related arrests have occurred in wards 7 and 8 in the District of Columbia, where we know, excuse me, there's the highest rate of crime. So we'll continue to do that. And what was your second question, Steve?
Are you guys for or against the DC cleanup of crime, of the homeless? Are you guys for or against it? What do you guys think?
Immigration, how much of a focus?
I'm personally for it. As long as it doesn't go overboard, you know, the escalation of force, etc., etc. But I haven't heard anything that bad.
that
Yeah,
is.
look, I mean, the focus is to make D.C. safe and beautiful and to remove public safety threats and violent criminals from our streets. If
What about the crime cleanup of America?
federal law enforcement, with the help of the Metropolitan Police Department, come across
California, Washington State, Illinois, Chicago, just keep naming them.
illegal aliens, of course, we are going to abide by this administration's policy of law and order, and we are going to remove illegal
Stunners for more cops, less crime.
criminals from our nation's capital. They will be detained and deported, just like they are in every other community across the country. Kristen.
First question is, whose idea was it to change the next steps from a trilateral to a bilateral meeting?
It was an idea that evolved in the course of the president's conversations with both President Putin, President Zelensky, and the European leaders yesterday. And as you saw, Kristen, with all of those European leaders leaving the White House, including the NATO Secretary General, they all agreed that this is a great first step. And it's a good thing that these two leaders are going to be sitting down together, and the president expects that to happen.
And how long is Trump willing to wait and operate in good faith for Putin to actually arrange a meeting before he intervenes?
Look, the president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close. He's taken actions, as you've seen, sanctions on India and other actions as well. He's made himself very clear that he wants to see this war end, and he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place. The president wants to move, and he wants to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible.
Just a clarification on something you said earlier about Putin agreeing to the meeting. The Kremlin seemed to indicate that Putin did not firmly agree to a bilateral. Did he agree to have a sit down with just Zelensky on the phone?
I can assure you that the United States government and the Trump administration is working with both Russia and Ukraine to make that bilateral happen as we speak. Sean.
Hey, if the point is to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that, but why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean. The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America. And if I could just read for all of you some of the statements from those European leaders yesterday, you had President Zelensky himself saying it was a very good conversation. It was really good. We spoke about very sensitive points. The Secretary General, Mark Rutte, it was the president, only because of the president, that this deadlock was broken, but with President Putin by starting a dialogue. So these leaders, who this war is in their backyard, are very grateful that the president took that call and that he was there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all. Catherine.
Thank you. Is the White House looking at Budapest as a possible location?
I'm not going to confirm or deny locations.
Budapest.
We'll provide you with details as soon as we can.
Just following up on Kristen's question, I understand that the White House is working and allies are working to make this meeting happen, but did Putin promise to do a meeting with Zelensky, a direct meeting, in the coming weeks?
He has, and I just answered that question for you. Franco.
Thanks. I just want to clarify. So you are saying that President Trump is considering U.S. pilots and U.S. aircraft potentially supporting European or Ukrainian forces?
The president spoke to that himself this morning when he called into Fox and Friends, and I would defer you to his answer. You can read it directly yourself.
In addition, can I ask, no boots on the ground, Steve Witkoff's talking about Article 5-like security guarantees. Can you talk about what other Article 5-like security guarantees that are being considered if it's not boots on the ground?
These are very sensitive diplomatic discussions that are currently taking place literally as we speak. So I will leave it to the national security team, and I'll leave it to the president to have those private discussions with these leaders as we try to bring this war to an end.
And can I ask one
Mary
more?
Margaret, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions, if that's okay. So on these meetings, I know you said that the trilateral will take place if necessary. Do you think that we might not need the trilateral and that Zelensky and Putin might come to this conclusion on their own? And then as a follow-up, I know the president said on Fox News this morning that he's partially seeking peace in order to get to heaven. Was he joking, or is there spiritual motivation behind his peace deals here?
I think the president was serious. I think the president wants to get to heaven, as I hope we all do in this room as well. Annie.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm just shifting gears to the Department of Justice for a minute. Can you...
Caroline Levitt has her crawls back on. She has her crawls back on. You see that? I'm assuming it was just under her shirts this whole time, but I'm...
Thanks, Caroline. I'm just shifting gears to the Department of Justice for a minute. Can you walk us through why another deputy FBI director was named? Does Trump have any displeasure with how the FBI has been being run to date? And I have a question about the antitrust division.
No, Andrew Bailey is extremely qualified. As you know, he's been serving with honor as the Attorney General of Missouri, and he's been brought on as another set of very credible and experienced hands to work alongside the current Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, under the leadership of the Director, Kash Patel, and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And the FBI has been doing a tremendous job. We've seen their agents out on the streets as part of this interagency task force here in Washington. But the crime that they've been stopping here in Washington, they've been doing this for 7 months all across the country. In fact, there's been 19,000 arrests by the FBI nationwide. That's more than double last year in the same time period. Of those, 1,600 arrests were for violent crimes against children. 4,000 child victims have been rescued by this FBI under this current leadership. 1,000 arrests from investigations of foreign terrorist organizations. There's been 1,500 kilos of fentanyl seized. 6,300 kilos of meth have been seized, and 3 of the top 10 most wanted have been arrested so far. Not a single one of the individuals on the top 10 most wanted list were arrested under the previous administration. We've arrested 3 in 7 months. So when you're actually working and enforcing law and order, you need all hands on deck. And so we look forward to welcoming Andrew Bailey to this new post. Jackie.
I have a quick question about Roger Alfred, who's a former...
Giannis said was down 2,600, closed out only down 170. Could have held out for a few more minutes and broke even, but the 238 level could have rejected hard. Good job, Jan. Good recovery. Good stuff.
Former DOJ official. He gave a speech in Aspen yesterday where he said that senior DOJ aides are cutting deals with favored lobbyists. I'm wondering if the president has any concerns at all with the way the antitrust division is working.
I have no idea who that individual is. I don't know why he made those comments. I don't know what basis he's making those comments on. My instinct tells me it's not true, but we will definitely look into them and I'll get you a response.
Thank you, Caroline.
Jackie.
Thanks, Caroline. Since the president often says that this war would not have started if he were in office, and
True.
And Putin confirmed that.
It's true. Do you accept that as truth? The
Probably.
European leaders do.
Well,
and President Putin himself said that, by the way.
He did say that. The question I have, though, is what...
and President Putin himself said that, by the way.
He did say that. The question I have, though, is what is the president going to do to ensure that these security guarantees last beyond him into the time when he is no longer president? And does that have to involve Congress at all?
Well, he understands the need for...
Stunner says harder punishment for crime is good, plus cops being president, people will be scared to commit them. That's what we do in the Gulf countries. That's why no crime.
For that, which he spoke to yesterday. And what's he going to do? It's why he's engaging in so many talks and so many conversations with both sides of this war with our European allies. It's why on the way home from Anchorage, Alaska, very late at night, when I know many of you on the press plane were sleeping and many staff were sleeping, the president himself was still awake at 2 o'clock in the morning talking to European leaders and NATO about how we can ensure a lasting peace and bring this conflict to an end. He is expended incredible amount of time, energy, and effort into bringing this war to an end, and he remains determined to do that.
Also, can
Go
I ask
ahead.
you about the
Thank you, Caroline.
DC crime?
Sure, Jake, and then to your right.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. Which of the half-dozen peace deals that the president's pulled off would you say he's the most proud of? And then I have another question.
That's a good question, Jake. I'll leave that to the president to answer. I think he's proud of all of the peace deals that he's been able to achieve. You saw the president of Armenia and the head of Azerbaijan both at the White House just a couple of weeks ago. The president, I know, very much enjoyed spending time with them and helping to bring that conflict to an end. He very much enjoyed his time with leaders of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the Oval Office, talking to them about bringing that decades-long war to an end. India and Pakistan. He used trade in a very powerful way as leverage to bring that conflict to an end. So I know he's very proud of all of these achievements, and I know he's very honored to serve as the President of the United States and to restore peace around this world. Go ahead.
So you mentioned Armenia and Azerbaijan. That's a conflict that, I spent time in the Southern Caucasus covering that. And, a conflict of over 30 years, and he resolved it in just a couple of months. Are there other conflicts that the president's working on right now that are off the radar screen that we should be tracking?
In fact, there are many. The State Department is always working around the clock under the leadership of Secretary Rubio and keeping the president apprised of conflicts that are bubbling up all over the world. But of course, as you all know, as we've talked a lot about in this briefing, he's spending a lot of time right now on ending this war in Russia-Ukraine, and of course the conflict in Israel and Gaza, which he wants to see come to a close as well. Sure, go ahead.
So the president says that he's starting a movement to eliminate mail-in voting, but states administer elections, not federal authorities. So can you provide any more details about how the White House plans to eliminate that?
The White House continues to work on this, and when Congress comes back to Washington, I'm sure there will be many discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill and also our friends in state legislatures across the country to ensure that we're protecting the integrity of the vote for the American people. And I think Republicans generally, and the president generally, wants to make it easier for Americans to vote and harder for people to cheat in our elections. And it's quite mind-boggling that the Democrat Party could stand in opposition to common sense. He wants to ensure election integrity. There were great efforts that were made in 2024. I won't get ahead of myself for Hatch Act reasons to get ahead for the next election, but I can assure you this is a priority for the president. Go ahead.
If I could just follow up on your comments about Gaza.
Sure.
Voting security, no-brainer, common sense.
There was a ceasefire proposal put forward by both Qatar and Egypt. Hamas accepted it on Monday. Israel has yet to officially weigh in. I'm wondering if the U.S. was at all involved in it, if it's supportive of it, and whether or not the president believes Israel should accept it.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Hamas accepted this proposal after the President of the United States posted a very strong statement about this conflict on Truth Social yesterday. I would refer you back to that statement. As for this proposal that Hamas has now accepted, the United States continues to discuss it, and I'll let the President weigh in on it definitively. You're welcome. Sure.
Can you describe the president's perspective on taking a stake in Intel in exchange for federal grants? And is this are we expecting to see the White House make similar arrangements with other semiconductor companies and manufacturing companies?
Well, the president, he's been very clear about the need to reshore manufacturing that's critical to our national and economic security. That is especially in regards to chips and semiconductors, which is why the president has initiated the Commerce Department to conduct a study on semiconductors, a Section 232 investigation, so we can ultimately implement tariffs. And it's why our export license requirements remain in place as well. As for this 10% government stake deal, the Department of Commerce continues to work on it. I know Secretary Lutnick is working on it and ironing out the details, but the president wants to put America's needs first, both from a national security and economic perspective. And it's a creative idea that has never been done before to ensure that we're both reshoring these critical supply chains while also gaining something of it for the American taxpayer. You're welcome. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about the 3 U.S. warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at possibility of boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country. And with that, I will leave you all, and we will see you later, if not tomorrow, and I look forward to taking more of your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. Thank you.
What was she talking about? I did not see that news from, keep in mind that if you guys are new here, make sure you smash that like button, follow the channel, subscribe. But what was she talking about? Israel, Gaza. I did not see that news. That was Caroline Leavitt, press secretary of the White House, speaking yesterday at 1 p.m. We're just catching up on some news. So this would be 48 hours ago. I did not see anything relating to that. The museums, a copper mine in Arizona. Talking about a lot of congressmen and congresswomen. Texas. Tulane Powell. I do not see it. Let me try and find it. I read that Hamas accepted an offer, but nothing about it being finalized. Two days ago. Hold on. All right. Hamas accepts new Gaza ceasefire proposal, officials say. It was unclear whether Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel was on board with the terms, which came as Qatar and Egypt were intensifying mediation efforts. Hamas has accepted a new ceasefire proposal for Gaza, put forward by Qatar and Egypt, that would see the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. Two diplomats familiar with the negotiations and an Egyptian official said on Monday it was unclear whether Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel would accept the proposal, which came as Qatar and Egypt were intensifying their mediation efforts ahead of the possible Israeli ground invasion into the Gaza city. The plan would require Israel to redeploy its forces in Gaza, and it would allow enough humanitarian aid to enter the territory to meet the needs of the Palestinians, two of the officials said. The latest terms are similar to those that the Israeli had previously accepted, and they include both a temporary ceasefire and a path to an agreement to end the war, according to the two diplomats and the Egyptian official. Israel has agreed in the past to the release of half of the hostages believed to be alive in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners as part of the initial ceasefire, and to the release of the remaining hostages as part of a comprehensive follow-up deal. In a statement, Hamas said that it and other Palestinian groups had agreed to a proposal presented by Egyptian and Qatari mediators on Sunday. The two diplomats and Egypt officials spoke to the New York Times on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive diplomacy. During previous rounds of negotiations, hopes for a ceasefire had been raised only to be dashed days later. Both Israelis and Palestinians have expressed concerns that the continuation of the war is endangering hostages held by militants in Gaza and Palestinian civilians caught in the crossfire. Up to 20 hostages are still believed to be living, according to the Israeli authorities, and the bodies of 30 others, they say, are also being held in Gaza. More than 60,000 Palestinians have been killed since the Hamas-led October 7th attack on Israel that ignited the war in Gaza, according to Gazan Health Ministry, which does not distinguish between combatants and civilians. Mr. Netanyahu's office said on Monday that the prime minister had spoken with the defense minister, Israel Katz, and the Israeli military about our plan regarding Gaza City and the completion of our mission. The comments released by the office discussed neither Gaza City at length nor Israel's position on the diplomatic efforts to achieve a ceasefire. Still, Mr. Netanyahu said, "I hear the reports in the media, and from them you can be impressed by one thing. Hamas is under immense pressure." Last week, Mr. Netanyahu suggested Israel was no longer interested in a deal that would involve the release of only some hostages. "I think that is behind us," he told the Hebrew language channel of I-24 News. Steve Witkoff and the Trump administration's special envoy to the Middle East told families of Israeli hostages this month at a meeting that the president now wanted to see all living hostages released at once. "No piecemeal deals. That doesn't work," Mr. Witkoff said, according to an audio recording of part of the meeting published by the Ynet Hebrew news site. "Now we think, quote unquote, now we think that we have to ship this negotiation to all or nothing. Everybody comes home," he said. "We have a plan around it," he added without elaborating. A participant in the meeting confirmed that Mr. Witkoff made such remarks. Hamas has said it is willing to release all hostages on condition that Israel ends the war, but Hamas officials have not publicly accepted Mr. Netanyahu's conditions for ending the war, including the group's disarmament. Still, Hamas appeared to be showing flexibility in agreeing to the latest proposal, according to the two official Israeli officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private assessments. The group shifted its position on almost every issue that was in dispute during a push for a ceasefire in July, the official said. Earlier on Monday, Mr. Trump appeared to offer his support for Israel's expanding of the war in Gaza. "We will only see a return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed," he wrote on Truth Social. "The sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be." Very interesting. Well, this does come from the New York Times, so take that with a grain of salt. But the way they wrote it made it seem like Hamas was the one trying to negotiate peace with Qatar and Egypt on their behalf, just trying to mitigate it and mediate it. And they kind of painted Israel as the people who don't want to accept it. And the defense minister has been called saying some questionable things, so that's not that out of the ordinary, to be fair. He said some crazy things. We're not going to get into it because this is a very sensitive subject. Ja, I did not see your donation, my friend. Let me replay it. What broker do you use? NinjaTrader. I'm using NinjaTrader. Appreciate it, Brock. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat, man. Appreciate the support. TTS is over $1. So you sent like 98 cents in your currency or in USD. That's why I didn't display. That's why I didn't hear it, see it. I apologize, man. Appreciate the support. Thank you. The broker I use is NinjaTrader, but better ones are Interactive Broker, Charles Schwab. I also have Fidelity, Roth IRA, and personal with leverage. I trade Bitcoin with BITUNIX right now. Link is below. But for NQ futures, I'm trading on NinjaTrader, which is the chart you see, and connected to prop firm accounts. Appreciate you, Proc. Appreciate the support. Movie shorts. Market looking any better? Gapper said 2,300, 300 inbound for NQ. Staying pretty hard. Proc, thanks a lot. I want to start scalping. I am 14. What do you think? Oh, man. 14? You have a lot of learning to do, man. I mean, hey, there's chess grandmasters that are what, 7-8 years old, so it's not that far-fetched. But just make sure you do what is the best interest of you and your family. Make sure you have a parent, and do not take any advice from anyone who's not actually live trading, only posting videos and shorts. People that are actually live trading are actually doing it, especially if they're real, raw, real, transparent, showing every single trade, winning, losing. So, and just remember, anything I say or do is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Everything is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Hold your own conviction. Do not FOMO, fear of missing out. Do not overtrade, and there are no missed opportunities, only the next one. Wish you all the best, man. 14 years old, starting. You'll be way ahead of everyone in no time. But I believe you need a parent's permission to start. And I believe you have to be 16 or something like that. I don't know. Unless you trade with a with your parents' account, which is for the BITUNIX. Market looking any better. Appreciate the support. I guess you use your someone's credit card. Someone's credit card got charged. Appreciate the support, guys. If you guys are new here, if you're getting value, learn what to do, what not to do. Today has been a rough day. The past couple days, very negative days, highs and lows, highs and lows. Right in the highs and lows. Today was another low one. 3 accounts blown. Miguel, I do see you as an entertainer. Your system prompts are good. Appreciate it, Miguel. Appreciate you. If you guys are getting value, new here, smash the like button. It boosts the algorithm, pushes us out in the feed. I would greatly appreciate it. Also follow, subscribe to the channel. And if you guys were thinking about purchasing merch, if you guys are still on the fence, if you're thinking of doing it in the future, Friday will be a decent opportunity for the pow. I'll leave it at that. There will be some interesting stuff. Nothing, no new designs, but there will be something happening on Friday for a very limited time. So if you're on the fence, if you're still thinking about getting the pow stuff, shirt, hoodie, etc., merch is linked below. But I would wait till Friday. Casino says, how often do you go live? I'm live every day at 9:30 a.m. EST, trading the market. Every day the market is open, I am live, at least for the time being. Stunner asked for a monthly allowance, do chores for cash. Stunner, Stunner speaking to you. He says, ask for a monthly allowance, do chores for cash. That way, if you do lose, it hurts since you worked for it. Very true. Very true. US FHFA Director Polite says, we are probing some property. Regardless, at 9:30 a.m. EST. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate the support. Appreciate 7,000 subscribers in 3.5 months of social media. All from live stream and shorts, by the way. All from live streams and shorts. I have not even tapped into the main YouTube audience. I'm still getting stuff situated, etc., etc. Building the infrastructure. See you, man. Appreciate you, Stunner. Where did she go? Said hi. What, Caroline Levitt? The video was over. That was Caroline Levitt speaking yesterday at 1 p.m. We were just catching up on the news. Catching up on the news. So far, if you guys are still trading, watch out for that 1 p.m. news and FOMC at 2 p.m. We did fall and reject a 50% fib. Back here, 50% fib. We went up, tapped it, rejected it. See if it reclaims it. Also, we're in the middle of two pretty key pivot points. Pivot points are from the 4-hour chart, so they're more significant. To the downside, 23,050. To the upside, 23,330. So if you guys are trading, be careful. Watch out for that. Appreciate Miguel, Casino, Movie, Pac, Gapper, Stunner, Legend, Giannis. Appreciate all of you guys. I will be back tomorrow. Persevere through resistance, chat. Do not fear the unknown. Do not fear missing out. And there are no missed opportunities. Only the next one. I will see you guys tomorrow. Merch.